10 years ago now, I almost on a dare. I had a cousin who said, she knew I was going out of town for a while. She's like, you know what, you should put your house up on Airbnb while you're gone. And I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I had ever heard. I was like, I just have a regular house, in Chicago. It's just, it's not a resort, you can't ski in and ski out. I don't have a pool. It's just a house. And I didn't think anybody would be interested. But right before I left, I decided to give it a try and put the house up. And I was going to visit my daughter who was doing some service work in Africa. And so I thought, okay, I sell real estate. I cannot be away from this job because when I'm gone, I'm not making any money. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Africa for 5 days. And that's it. That's all I'm going to allow is a 5-day trip.
Wow.
Now, it takes a day to get there and a day to get back. So I'm not sure what I was thinking about, but I just thought I can't leave my business for that amount of time. But anyway, I put the house up in a few days before we left. I got my first guest. And right as they were coming in to check in, I was heading off to the airport with my youngest daughter, and we went to Africa. And then literally by the time we had gotten there, because it takes a day to get there, I had another inquiry and another interested person. And then the next day somebody else was interested. And so, the 5-day trip that I thought that I had planned for us turned into 3 weeks. We stayed because we kept getting someone to pay.
Yeah.
And we ended up in 3 different countries. And it was the beginning of me becoming, short-term rental host.
Wow.
And I just kind of fell into it, well, not literally, but pretty much.
And that was, you said that was 10 years, so around 2013, 14?
Yeah, like that. We'd always had a vacation rental home in our family. We never, well, every now and then we would rent it out to guests, but I couldn't really get my whole family on board with it. And so, I knew what was kind of possible, but I never thought about renting out my primary residence, where I actually live with my actual kids and my actual dog. But that's where it started.
Yeah.
And so so that was July. So by the end of that year, my house had made $50,000. And I was like, wait a minute now, is this some kind of crazy fluke or what's happening? But I started to think, well, maybe this is something, because not only did it make $50,000, but it gave us, my daughters and I, it gave us sort of this disposable income that we hadn't had before, and it allowed us to start to really travel. And so, because we vacate completely when we have guests, and we fly off someplace. So I started thinking, I don't know, this is starting to feel good. So the next year, the next full year, the first full year that we were on, the house made 6 figures. And I thought, okay, we might be in business here.
Yeah.
This might be okay for us. And, we started going everywhere. And, we went to France twice in 2 months. And, we'd never gone much past Wisconsin before.
Yeah.
So
that's incredible.
It's been great for us, and it was really kind of unexpected. But what I realized when I really thought about it is that, all the things I had done in the past sort of set me up for this kind of hosting situation, because, I knew how to stage real estate. I knew how to write a listing. I'd seen, a million listings before, so I know what's good and what's bad. I know compelling copy. I know how to price and look at comps, and it all started to come together. I know how to do a rental agreement, and, all these different, what I thought were kind of different things started to come together and create a hosting scenario for me that I hadn't really thought about, but when I did think about it, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of those skills are so key to this, which a lot of people overlook when they're creating listings, and you go on Airbnb and it's like, somebody's got their, pet hamster in the picture and their bed's not made, and like it's
Right, and they have a big pile of dirty clothes
Yeah.
over here, and the toilet seat is up. It's all the things that, realtors go crazy about. And it's the same thing with short-term rentals, and it's the same kind of mindset and the same staging aspects, and a lot of it is very similar. Obviously, there's a heavy guest experience part that you don't really have to deal with when you're selling or buying, but everything else is very much similar to the buying and selling process.
Yeah.
So it worked out. It's working out pretty well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about this, because this is something that we do something similar with our house as well. Like we, when we leave for a long weekend, or we'll just leave it up, and then we kind of dictate our travel schedule around when we get compelling bookings. And it makes it extremely worthwhile for us. In addition to we live on a farm, so we have a barn B&B out back that we keep booked as well. So we kind of double dip. But the main question I get around our house, or several of them, are, what do you do with your stuff?
Yes.
How do you make sure that nobody steals your things?
Yes.
And then
Everybody wants to know that. That's a big one.
Exactly. So I'll let you go with that.
Okay, then I'm
question.
interested in hearing what you do, because maybe you do something different. What we do is, first of all, when I finally decided this was actually going to be something, I sort of stepped back from my feelings about my house. I started looking at it differently. And instead of it being, where I raised my kids and I brought my babies home here, my dog, and all of that, I started to say, you know what? It's more important for us to make memories as we travel than it is for me to hold on so tightly to all of my stuff. And so I started to, the stuff that was really important to me, the stuff that I know would really, break my heart if something happened to it, I took it to my mom's house, or I took it to our house in Wisconsin. And that stuff I know is safe and sound, nothing's going to happen with it. Everything else is just kind of stuff. And, some of it's nice, some of it's just stuff. But I don't feel, an emotional attachment to it anymore. So it was a lot easier to think about guests, putting their feet up on the table, because it's just a table, and and I can get a new table if I need to get a new table, and the guests will pay for it, so it's not a big deal. And so when we go, when we go for the summers, a lot of our stuff we just take it with us. Our clothes we just take out. But when we're going just for short amounts of times, we have a closet. We have an owner's closet, and we put our stuff there, the stuff that would be in the way for guests. So we empty the closed drawers. We take out the stuff from one of the closets, put it all in the other closet, and everything else is accessible for the guests. They can have and use what we have and use, and we're just fine with that.